Bryce, is this thing on?
It's on, bro. It is on.
We're back.
We're back. We're back.
We had a week off of afternoon beer discussions.
Yes,
So
there was rumors going around the Equity Mates headquarters that you had COVID-19, so we had to take a week off as sweat on the results, and luckily they have come back negative.
They've come back negative, yes.
Yeah.
I was a bit crook last week, so apologies to the people hanging out for this.
Yes.
But we're back.
And
unfortunately, neither of us have a beer.
No, we've changed. We're the Vino brothers.
Yeah. Well, I've just got a housemate that drinks all of our beers. So
Classic.
This is all that we had. We had this or gin. And I figured a glass of gin wouldn't finish the day off as I wanted.
No, and it also could turn the episode into an interesting ending as well, depending on how long it goes for.
Yes. So we start this with a question. So my question to you is, how, in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic, was March 2020 Afterpay's third best month ever?
Ren, it's because it's just one of those stocks that people try and beat down, kill, short, but it just keeps going. You can't beat it.
It wasn't its best share market month, third best share market month in terms of actual like retail sales that it processed. March 2020, when the panic was at its peak, Afterpay had its third best month ever.
I'm not surprised with that, and I don't know if you're surprised either, or if you're just asking the question for conversation. But if I think about how Afterpay is used, and there are now a lot more people at home at during the month of March, and also potentially more people considering their financial position but still wanting to buy online, having more time to think about it. I can see that it would be an appealing product for a lot of people. And I also think that if it's not the financial aspect that they're using Afterpay for, then they're using it just as they normally would. I know a lot of people that use Afterpay who can afford to pay off the item in one hit, but they choose to, for cash flow purposes, pay it off over 4 or 8 weeks. So I'm not surprised. Yeah.
If I'm honest, I was surprised.
Yeah.
I just thought retail sales would slow down and that would affect Afterpay. And I guess,
but is the month of March the month that retail sales would online retail sales drastically? I feel like the cash flow implications of what happened in March might not be hitting until the government support starts fading away. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah. Well, apparently there's stories out there of people that were getting, $500 a week or $500 a fortnight now earning more with the JobKeeper payment that the government's doing.
Yeah.
So potentially that's part of it. But for me, and this is what we're going to talk about in this discussion, is just the wildly different retail stories that we're seeing play out in 2020. The bankruptcies on one hand, and then stocks like Afterpay and some of the online retailers that you have picked are just killing it. Yeah.
Well, Afterpay is, from a stock price point of view, up from March 23 at the low point is 381% up. So
not to fact check you live on air, but it's even more than that. 382.
Sorry, I had rounding errors.
You did, but yeah, that's unbelievable. And but for me, it's almost more unbelievable that for the year, it's up 40%.
Yeah.
So even after the massive decline and the unbelievable rebound, it's still up a significant amount in the first half of 2020.
I think, and this is something that we were sort of talking about this morning with the gambling, with sport now not a thing, and the gambling industry taking a hit that way. I think there's potential that a lot of that activity is moving somewhat into the stock market, and we know that ASIC have come out with warnings saying that every mum and dad is trying to get into the stock market at the moment, and trading volumes are 100% above.
Your mum and
There
dad
we
are
go.
notable sports gamblers.
This is not true. And I'm sure that an element of Afterpay's rise at the moment is somewhat speculative, and it's always been that stock that everyone talks about. And average Joe's probably made a bit of coin here and there and is telling his mates, and there's probably certainly an element of that. But I guess combined with that, they've had their third best month in sales ever. It's pretty interesting.
So you're the perennial Afterpay bull on this show and on our podcast. I'm I wouldn't say I'm a bear, but I'm definitely not a bull.
But did I not say?
I guess the question.
Yeah, did I not say recently that I was considering selling?
Well, my question was going to be how high is this stock going to go?
Well, I've always said that it would be a $50 stock, and it's not far off. If it hits 50, I'm out.
Oh, you're going to be spewing if you sell at 50 and it finishes the year at 150.
Well, Ren, this is one of those things I'm really grappling with at the moment. I certainly think that its stock price is well and truly trading at a premium at the moment. But a lot of people say hold your winners. Be smart about holding your winners. Maybe put in a stop loss or whatever it is. But hold your winners, and at the moment it's winning. So I'm gonna hold it and be smart about how I hold it, and see what happens. Because you're right, it could go to $100 by the end of the year, and I'd be spewing.
It could be your Coca-Cola, the stock that Warren Buffett held just for 50 years, and it just kept growing.
Could be your A2 milk.
Could be.
So bankruptcies though.
Yeah. So I think we're starting to feel the pinch of bankruptcy or of this COVID-19 shutdown. And obviously retail, especially bricks and mortar retail, has been decimated for years. People talk about, the Amazon effect, where they just have blown up whole categories of retail by just doing it more efficiently and cheaper online. And we're starting to see a lot of stories in Australia, in the US, in the UK of retailers that can no longer hold on. So a few big names in Australia, if we start locally, Jeans West, your preferred clothing outlet, shutting 146 stores. Kiki K, your preferred stationery shop.
No, that's Scribble, bro. That's Scribble.
Is it called Scribble?
Is it called Scribble? I don't know. Smiggle.
Yeah. Colette, Harris Scarf, McWilliam Wines, which I think is a wine retailer, but it's definitely a wine producer. And an interesting one that I didn't realize, EB Games. Apparently they're really struggling as well.
Wow.
Shut 19 unprofitable stores, and people are asking questions about how long they can hang on.
Wow.
So
even though gaming is going through the roof at the moment, people are playing 2.5 times their average game, but I guess they're downloading them.
I guess, and we could go on a massive tangent here about the gaming industry, but if you think about 10 years ago, the gaming industry was you bought a game up front and the retailers saw that money. Whereas now, well, one, you can buy games online and just download them, but two, the upfront price isn't where gaming companies are making their money. It's all those like in-app or in-game purchases, those loot boxes and stuff like that. So potentially just how the money's moving around the gaming ecosystem is changing. But yeah, they've shut 19 stores and potentially more to come.
Wow. And what was the other one? Harris Scarf. That was a big one in Wagga where I grew up. So
really?
Sad to see them go. Yeah. Not surprised.
Wagga Institution. Yeah.
Wagga Institution. And I guess the reason that these guys are going bankrupt as opposed to some of the others is their lack of online presence. Is that really what?
Well, yeah. I think that debt, just what they sell, all that stuff. But I would be very confident in saying there will be more names to come in 2020, which really isn't a big prediction at this point. But
that's bold, bro. That's bold.
Yeah. But I think even more interesting, just because of their size and their name recognition, some of the ones out of the US. So Neiman Marcus was a big department store over there. J. Crew, Modell's Sporting Goods, Pier 1 Imports, Papyrus, which is a big stationery store, all had almost 100 or over 100 shops that they're shutting. And then the one really recently, JC Penney, shutting 850 shops and declaring bankruptcy.
And I would have thought that they were an institution over there. Like everyone knows JC Penney. But
yeah, well,
not
everyone
enough
might know, but they don't shop there anymore, I guess.
Yeah, not enough to keep them afloat. And I don't know a lot of those names, but are they all kind of dealing in the same sort of category of retail, I guess? Like,
no, there's a pretty big divergence. So Papyrus, I'm pretty sure, is stationery. Modell's Sporting Goods, sporting. J. Crew is clothing. Neiman Marcus is department stores. JC Penney, department stores.
Department, yeah.
It's just everything these days. I mean, the UK have a bunch more as well. That some of the names I'm not that familiar with, but it's a bad time to be in bricks and mortar retail.
So bold prediction then, if you were to come back to domestic and think about Australia and our retail landscape, not knowing, I guess, the ins and outs of a lot of the companies, but if you were to say a big name that you think is at risk or might go bankrupt, who would it be? I'm going Taro Cash.
Interesting. Lowe's.
Lowe's.
No, it is a good question. I mean, my biggest one would be any clothing retailer that doesn't have a really strong niche.
Yes.
So obviously, like you picked City Chic a little while ago, who have a pretty strong niche, have a good online presence. They're going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of, like, is Just Jeans still around?
Well, if Jeans West went out, then Just Jeans is probably barely hanging on. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're still around.
Just some of those diversified ones. Obviously, like Myer and David Jones, you'd be keeping a close eye on.
The thing is, though, like, are a lot of people buying clothes from Amazon? I personally don't. I still do buy clothes from, I wouldn't say niche retailers, but they're just online retailers. So I think for me, that's the key. It's like, if they haven't got an online strategy that they've been working on for the last 3 to 5 years, then they're so far on the back foot, they can't keep up. You know what I mean? Like, do you don't buy clothes, but I guess
this jumper.
I guess it's hard for you to figure out. But
yeah. But I mean, look, when I think about buying clothes, I don't think about going to a shop. I would just do it online.
The only
I don't think it is Amazon. Like you're right.
The only shop I've physically gone to buy clothes in the last 24 to 48 months is Uniqlo.
Interesting.
Yeah,
you went to Adam and Eve that one time as well, didn't you?
Anyway,
let me flip that question back around on you. What would your bold prediction be in terms of a unexpected retail bankruptcy? You can't say Woolworths.
No, well, I mean, I went with Taro Cash. I'm just trying to think about the stores that are in that try and capture that large country town demographic. Target country or the likes. Like Harris Scarf is not a Sydney metropolitan sort of offering. It's your large country towns, and those towns at the moment are also going under a lot of hardship through drought, bushfire. You know, there's multiple things coming in at them at once, and so it's those hard and fast retail, brick and mortar retail. So I'm sticking with Taro Cash, bro. Like it's going under.
Wow, well, you heard it here first.
Yeah, I heard it here first.
Yeah,
nice.
So for me, it's just this unbelievable juxtaposition that coronavirus has really accelerated. Like both of these trends were playing out before, the bricks and mortar decline and the rise of online retail. But 2020 is going to be the fuel on that fire. Just it's going to accelerate it so quickly.
Yeah.
Stocks like Shopify, Amazon, Afterpay, PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, and then all of the online specialty retailers, the City Sheiks, you're going to really test my knowledge of online retail at this point.
Well, I was just going to say, then I think we spoke about it on an earlier afternoon beer discussions when we were just talking about the moats, but there was a reason that we've spoken so often about a number of the retailers we've spoken about, and
because we work in retail.
We work in retail, but they all have very strong online strategies and are very much getting a lot of their growth before all of this happened from there. And you look at Baby Bunting, you look at JB Hi-Fi, you look at City Chic, you look at Breville, you look at even Harvey Norman is in that space. And you look at what's happening to Coles and Woolworths at the moment, where we've gone from, a single digit penetration for online to high single digit, in some cases, double digit. And this is only accelerating that online. So if you want a retail watch list, they're the 5 to put on it, I reckon.
Well, let me ask you this question about grocery retail then. So obviously we're seeing with like clothes retailing, with small electronics, with a bunch of different stuff, it all moving online. The two categories that have been probably most resistant in the retail space are one, home and hardware. So your Bunnings over here, your Home Depot in the States, and then secondly, your grocery retailers. So your Walmarts and your Whole Foods in the US and your Coles and Woolies in Australia. Do you think there will be a tipping point where what we're seeing in other retail categories hits those retail categories?
In terms of bankruptcies, or in terms
of
seismic shift?
Get online or die sort of paradigm.
Well, I mean, not immediately, no, but I think there is very much a get online or lose a lot of customers at the moment, and it's becoming the major space in which we're offering differentiation and competition at the moment, I think, because this is, as we said, COVID's only fueled the growth of it, and people now are experiencing the online shopping experience that they had probably otherwise thought they would never do, or thought they'd do it later on. And now it's becoming very apparent that some are more advanced than others in certain areas of the online experience. So I think it's fast becoming, you've got to be good at it, otherwise you're going to lose customers. Maybe not go out of business, but yeah. So it's very interesting. Yeah. What do you think?
It is. Oh, look, I'm not convinced that the online play will ever be the biggest part of the business. You have to do it, and because that's where a lot of incremental customer growth is coming from, and customers more and more customers are demanding it. But I think those two categories, at least in, let's say, in the next decade, will still largely win in their bricks and mortar offerings.
Yeah, what I think is that the online play will be moved into bricks and mortar for your staple sort of stuff, and I guess you will be able to conduct a shop whilst a lot goes on out the back, or in as your staples are delivered to your house, you can go there for the fresh offering or the experience. We'll see what happens. Time will only tell.
Yeah, I'm backing robots to make the in-store experience so good that you want to go into stores.
Not bad. Well, Ren, I've almost... Sorry, you want to go?
No. I was just going to start riffing on what Walmart's doing with robots. So yeah, good you cut me off.
I was just going to say I've almost finished my wine, and I think now's probably the appropriate time to intro the whole segment for those that have just joined. The deal is one topic, one wine.
It's too late. People have either enjoyed it or they've clicked out.
So considering we're done... just a shout out to anyone who has joined for the first time, that you can come across and join us on our main podcast, Equity Mates Investing Podcast. You'll find it at equitymates.com or in your podcast players. Anything else from you, Ren? Shirts are available.
Yes. No, that's about it.
Nice. All
Yeah.
right. Well, good chat. Again, if we were talking offline, it'd be good if we'd started a retail long short fund. I think that's both where a lot of our circle of competence lies, but we can pick that up at a later date. But we'll chat next week.
Sounds good.